안녕하세요.
The city was cloaked in a curtain of rain, soft drizzles painting the glass walls of the towering Phoenix Group building. Inside, the marble lobby echoed with hurried footsteps and distant elevator chimes. On the 42nd floor, the atmosphere was hushed reverent, as if the very air bent to the will of its sovereign, CEO Kong Jun-ho. Tall, impeccably dressed, with eyes that mirrored winter storms, Jun-ho stood by the window, his back to the room. The weight of legacy and expectation hung on his shoulders like an invisible crown. The board had been pressuring him to finalize the upcoming acquisition, a move that could either fortify or fracture the empire his father had built. But in that moment, he wasn't thinking about deals. He was thinking about how silent everything had become. Below that realm of power, on the 14th floor, a completely different world existed. Among stacks of binders and potted office plants, Yunarium, a quiet and diligent administrative assistant, sat reviewing quarterly reports with meticulous care. Her desk was small but orderly, a sanctuary of calm in the chaos of corporate life. She tucked a loose strand of hair behind her ear, unaware that fate was beginning to unravel its threads. Ariam was known for her precision, her warmth, and her ability to be unseen, just the way she preferred it. She didn't come from privilege. Her father ran a tiny hardware store in Busan, and everyone she earned went toward helping her younger brother through college. But everything changed the moment she was asked to deliver a file to the executive suite. As she entered the CEO's floor, the silence was almost sacred. She hesitated at the edge of the long corridor, clutching the report to her chest. Every surface gleamed, and the air smelled faintly of sandalwood and power. A deep voice sliced through the quiet. "You're not my usual courier." Jun-ho's tone was clipped, unreadable. She turned, startled, and offered a respectful bow. "I'm sorry, sir. Ms. Lee is on sick leave. I was asked to bring this to you." Jun-ho studied her for a moment longer than necessary, something unfamiliar flickering in his expression. "Very well. Lee est on the table." She stepped forward cautiously, placing the folder on the glass table, her fingers brushing the edge as if trying not to disturb anything sacred. Just as she turned to leave, a sharp ring echoed through the room. Jun-ho answered the call, his features hardening. "We lost the bid? Again? That's unacceptable. Get the directors in here now." He ended the call and sighed, rubbing the bridge of his nose, momentarily forgetting her presence. Ariam, halfway out, froze, instinctively turning. If I may, sir," she said softly. He looked at her, surprised, not used to being addressed by someone outside his inner circle. "Go on." She stepped back in, nervous but firm. "I reviewed all the bid documents this week. I think the presentation lacked localization details. The rival firm probably tailored theirs to the client's regional expectations. It might be worth checking." A long pause. Jun-ho's eyes narrowed, not in anger, but calculation. He walked slowly to his desk, pulled up the document she mentioned, and skimmed it with renewed focus. Then, a slow nod. "Interesting insight. What's your name?" She swallowed. "Yunarium." He repeated the name silently. "Thank you, Ariam. That will be all." She left, heart racing, the echo of his voice trailing behind her like a shadow. What she didn't see was Jun-ho watching the door even after it closed, his gaze lingering not on the problem, but on the girl who had dared to speak. From that moment, he would remember her voice, not just the words, but the quiet courage they carried. Morning sunlight streamed through the glass walls of the Phoenix Group's boardroom, illuminating the sleek, modern space where powerful decisions were forged. CEO Kong Jun-ho sat at the head of the obsidian table, flanked by board members whose expressions revealed more worry than confidence. The failed bid had shaken them, but Jun-ho, calm and controlled, presented a new direction, one subtly shaped by the insight of a woman they didn't know existed. "We're revising our regional strategy," he announced, fingers tapping against the polished surface. "Effective immediately." A few brows arched, but no one dared to challenge him. He had earned their fear, and their respect. Downstairs, Yunarium returned to her routines, her morning now filled with meetings, memos, and the occasional glance toward the elevator, wondering if she'd imagined the spark of recognition in the CEO's gaze. Her colleagues remained oblivious, absorbed in their own tasks. "You're glowing today," her friend Mi-jin teased, sipping her iced coffee. "Did something happen yesterday?"
Ariam smiled faintly.
Just delivered a file to the 42nd floor. Mi-jin's eyes widened. To him. Ariam nodded, and Mi-jin clutched her chest dramatically. Be still, my heart. But Ariam dismissed it. There was no room in her world for daydreams. Later that week, a surprise memo arrived in her inbox. She'd been temporarily assigned to assist the strategy division, directly under the CEO's purview. Confused and wary, she climbed back up to the 42nd floor, heart pounding. The same glass corridors greeted her, but this time, she was expected. A junior executive met her at the entrance. CEO Kong requested your help for a week. He wants your perspective on the Southeast Asia portfolio. The words barely registered. My perspective? She thought. When she entered his office, he didn't look up from his screen. You're late by 2 minutes. His tone was cool. Zit. She obeyed, fidgeting with the strap of her bag. Junho finally glanced at her, his voice softening just enough. You were right about the last bid. I value competence, not position. Consider this a test. She nodded, unsure if she should thank him or flee. He handed her a folder. Study this, and tell me what you do differently by tomorrow. She took it, fingers brushing his in a split second of accidental contact. He didn't flinch. Instead, he watched her intently as she left the room, his thoughts briefly drifting to her calm defiance. That night, Ariam stayed late, poring over the materials. Charts, numbers, and market patterns danced before her eyes. She made notes, rewrote proposals, and fought her own disbelief. Why her? She couldn't shake the feeling that the CEO was testing more than just her analytical skills. As she finally shut her laptop near midnight, her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. You left your notebook. It's on my desk.
Kang Juno.
Her breath caught. He hadn't forgotten her name. He'd noticed even that. And slowly, the glass tower that separated them began to ripple. Autumn crept in quietly, dressing Seoul in amber hues.
The Phoenix Group's headquarters mirrored the city's transformation. Cooler Tones in Wardrobe, brisker meetings, and a subtle tension treading through the office corridors.
But on the 42nd floor, something had undeniably shifted. Yoon Ariam now occupied a small desk near the CEO's private meeting room, her presence no longer a curiosity, but a fixture. Still, whispers followed her like shadows. Did you hear she's working directly under Kong Junho? She must have connections. But the truth was simpler and more complicated. She had earned his attention, and perhaps more than that. Inside his office, Junho stood at the head of a digital projection, discussing fiscal adjustments with the directors. His speech was composed, sharp, and persuasive, but his eyes occasionally flicked toward the glass wall that separated him from the hallway where Ariam sat. She was reviewing data for the upcoming merger, annotating files with neat precision. He trusted her now, not just with numbers, but with silence. She didn't pry, didn't gossip. She simply delivered. And in that quiet efficiency, he found something rare, peace. That afternoon, after the board meeting, he called her in. She stepped inside, bowing slightly. You asked for me, sir? He motioned to the seat across from his. We're presenting to the Japanese stakeholders tomorrow.
Ivan Tutere.
Her eyes widened. Me. He nodded. You picked up on cultural blind spots last time. I need that instinct in the room. She hesitated. Sir, I've never, he cut in, gentler than before. Then this will be your first.
I trust you.
She blinked, caught between gratitude and fear. No one had ever placed that kind of faith in her. That evening, after most of the staff had left, she remained in the office, rehearsing her role for the next day. Junho returned from a call, loosening his tie as he stepped into the room. Still here? He asked, surprised. I didn't want to make a mistake tomorrow, she admitted, clutching her notes. He approached, pausing a few steps away.
Mistakes happen.
What matters is how you handle them. A silence stretched between them, comfortable, unspoken. Then he said softly, You remind me of someone I once knew." She tilted her head. "Someone important?" He looked away, the edges of his confidence softening. "Someone I lost." In that moment, something broke through. Not romance, not yet, but recognition. She saw the loneliness behind the tailored suits and headlines, and he saw the steadiness behind her modest smile. As she prepared to leave, he added, "Ariam, you don't have to be perfect. Just be honest." She turned, stunned that he'd used her name so casually, so humanly. "I'll try," she replied. As she stepped out into the hall, the rain returned, tapping lightly against the glass, like the first beat of a heart finally allowed to feel.
Seasons come and go, oh, our love will always grow. Through the storms and gentle rain, we'll bloom and start again.